Gladiator Fighter. Master brutality and bloodsport. Gladiators are just as much performers as they are warriors, whether brawling in underground fighting rings or fighting for survival in blood-stained arenas. A gladiator combines martial skill with theatrics to awe and intimidate their audiences. Level 3, Brutality. Shaped by the intensity of the arena, you learn to execute brutal martial moves. Once per turn, when you hit a creature with an attack roll using a melee weapon, you can add one of the following brutality effects of your choice. You can do this a number of times equal to your charisma modifier. I'm going to have a problem with this subclass, I can tell right now. Minimum of once, and you regain all expended uses when you finish a short or a long rest. Alright, so first off, we're making our fighter mad, multi-attribute dependent. Bleed. You can activate the Sap Mastery property in addition to a different mastery property you're using with that weapon. And the target takes extra damage equal to your Charisma modifier, minimum of 1. The extra damage's type is the same type as the weapon's type. Same damage type, same as the weapon's type. Alright, so refresh on what Sap does for everybody. Sap. If you hit a creature with this weapon, that creature has disadvantage on its next attack roll before the start of your next turn. It's one of the nicer ones, I think. So you can have Sap in addition to your mastery. If you hit a creature with this weapon, that creature has disadvantage. So if you combine this with Cleave, you can get more than one target disadvantage. That would be very good. That would be some nice stuff. But you can target take extra damage equal to your charisma modifier. You can do these things a number of times equal to your charisma modifier per short or long rest. Okay. Bluff. You can activate the Vex mastery property in addition to a different mastery property you're using with that weapon, and you have advantage on the next saving throw you make before the end of your next turn. It's pretty good. Vex is the one that grants you advantage on your next attack against that target. Stumble, you can activate the Topple mastery property in addition to a different mastery property you're using with that weapon, and on its next turn, the target can take only an action or a bonus action, not both. Okay. Topple is the one that forces them to make a save against being knocked prone. This is nice if it wasn't so tied to charisma. It would be nicer. Level 3, Combat Theatrics. You've honed your combat skills to entertain devastating opponents and dazzling onlookers. You gain the following benefits. Athletic Flair. Whenever you make a Dexterity Acrobatics or Strength Athletics check, you gain a bonus to the check equal to your Charisma modifier. That could make Athletics very strong. Bonus proficiency, you gain proficiency in one of these skills of your choice. Acrobatics, Athletics, Deception, Intimidation, or Performance. Yeah. So if you found a way to get expertise in athletics, this class would hands down be the best way to do a grappler. Level 7, Flourish Parry. You've learned to stylishly counter blows from your opponents. When an enemy hits you with a melee attack roll, you can take a reaction to add your charisma modifier, minimum of 1, to your AC against the attack, potentially causing the attack to miss. Flourish Counter. If this reaction causes the attack to miss, you can retaliate with a powerful counterstrike as part of the same reaction. Make an attack roll with a melee weapon against the triggering creature. If this attack hits, you can use one of your brutality effects on the target without expending a use of that feature. Now that's nice. Once this counterattack hits, you can't use this feature to make another counterattack until you finish a long rest. That's bad. You can also restore your use of this counterattack expending a use of your second wind. I don't get that. How many uses a second wind? I think you got 2, right? Second wind, level 1. Use this feature twice. You regain 1 expended use when you finish a short rest. You regain all expended uses when you finish a long rest. Using your second wind as a class resource when you only have 2 and you only get 1 on a short rest. I'm not crazy about it. I can see the thought behind it. I'm not crazy about it. But the actual, Flourish Parry, level 7, it's great. It feels really thematic. You parry. If you succeed, you can make an attack. That's really cool. Honestly, with how strong the reaction attack you just get when somebody approaches you from Polearm Master, I feel like they don't need to restrict this. It's the attack, potentially causing the attack to miss. Because you're already using your reaction to try and defend. All you're doing is adding your charisma modifier, which since it's going to be a secondary stat for you, it's going to be likely a 2 or a 3 if you're not rolling. And you're just adding it to your AC. So if you're holding a shield, it could make you very tanky. And the flourish counter is the one is the part that's limited. I don't think it needs to be limited. Because it's going to consume your reaction, meaning even if they were to back away or anything like that, they don't need to disengage because your reaction's already used up. This one is very cool. I think it's unnecessarily limited. Level 10. Bolder Brutalities. Your brutal martial prowess has improved. The following effects are added to your brutality options. Rive. You can activate the Cleave Mastery property in addition to a different mastery property you're using with that weapon, and you can add your ability modifier to the damage of the additional attack made as part of the property's activation. That's nice. Wait, is this used? Yeah. Okay, so it's still using your you can do this a number of times equal to your charisma modifier. It's just a slightly better cleave. And specifically a different mastery property, so you can't cleave and then use this to cleave again. Rush. You can activate the Push Mastery property in addition to a different mastery property you're using with that weapon, and you can immediately move up to your speed without provoking opportunity attacks. So you can basically push and run up to them, or push and run away. It's not bad. Situationally useful. Stagger. You can activate the Slow Mastery property in addition to a different mastery property you're using with that weapon, and the target has disadvantage on the next saving throw it makes before the end of your next turn. That actually useful for party mechanics. You know your caster is getting ready to do something that requires a DC. You can hit him with this. That's great. Rush is situationally useful. Rive is pretty good. So you're level 10. Fighters, what? It's 4, 6, 8. They get feats or ASI. Well, I guess ASI is now a feat. So they get feats. Let's see. 4. So if you just do ASIs, you don't take feats, which as a fighter, you definitely want the feats. You're not going to be increasing your charisma, really. So your charisma is likely going to just be hard stuck at 3 for most of the game. This being limited by your charisma modifier, I understand the Gladiator theming. I don't think this is fun. Because you get 3 per short rest. Oh, 3 per short rest. Most combat's going to be 2 to 3 rounds, maybe 2 to 4 rounds. Let's call it 2 to 4 rounds. If it's a boss, maybe you're looking at 5, 6. So you're doing one of these a round. You could probably take a short rest between most encounters, so maybe it's not a problem. Maybe it's not a problem. Level 15, Brutal Resurgence. Whenever you use your second wind to regain hit points, you regain an expended use of brutality. You also regain an expended use of brutality whenever you use your action surge. Okay, this is nice. Whenever you use your second wind to regain hit points, you regain an expended use of brutality. But the problem is you're using your flourish parry, so to regen that, you have to expend second wind. So your level 7 and your level 15 are conflicting with each other. Instead of regaining an brutality, you should regen your flourish parry when you use action surge or second wind. Because like we just went over, 3 times per short rest is probably fine for your brutality options. The problem is going to be the flourish parry restriction. So level 15, when you use second wind, regain hit points, you regain use of expended brutality. If you regained your flourish parry, or not your flourish parry, your flourish counter, I think that would feel better. Level 18, Mutilate. When you hit a bloodied creature with an attack roll, you can attempt to critically injure it. The target makes a Constitution saving throw, DC 8 plus your Charisma modifier and your Proficiency bonus. Ew. On a failed save, the target suffers the following effects. Maimed, if the target takes the attack action, it can make only 1 attack. Sluggish, the target's speed is halved and it has a -2 penalty to its armor class. These effects last until the target regains hit points. Once a target fails its saving throw against this feature, you can't use it again until you finish a long rest. So level 18, you're going to be at 6 proficiency, right? Yes, 6 proficiency. So you could probably have increased your charisma to 4 by level 18. So what? 8 plus 4 is 12. Plus proficiency bonus is 6 is 18. So DC 18 instead of DC 20, which is what casters are like your main stat would be 20. So there's a 2-point difference. Yeah, this is probably fine. I take that back. This is not fine. Once target fails its saving throw against this feature, you can't use it again. So this is not fine. This is going to suffer. So this part right here, maimed, is the problem. This, sluggish, perfectly fine. It's just a -2. We're getting into the we don't like floating modifiers in 5th edition area, so that's not great. But the maimed is where I see the problem was. I believe it was contagion of every attack. In 5th edition, contagion could apply every attack, cause the stun condition. This will... Maimed will instantly turn off a boss encounter, which at level 18 is just not fun. This seems like a super strong thing that a player would want to do, but it will turn an interesting boss encounter into an incredibly boring fight. That's not great. Overall, Gladiator... Theming seems pretty good. Originally, I was against the charisma modifier, but you can do it every 3 times per short rest. That's honestly plenty. And then flourish counter, like flourish parry, great. Flourish counter, great. Having to expend the second wind for it, less great. I wish you didn't need to do that. Or if they were going to lean into that, at least have your level 15 feature refresh your Flourish Parry. Overall, the theming looks really nice. It's got a couple of problems. I think the biggest problem is the level 18 one, because it's just going to turn off a boss fight. All right. That concludes Gladiator Fighter.